Welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. I might be becoming a bad baseball fan who can't enjoy the romantic things because of advanced statistics. 15 years from now, I want to be on the early baseball committee. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
I literally have the Fangraphs hoodie, the baseball reference t-shirt, just repping some stats, you know what I'm saying?
It's not necessarily Hall of Fame, it's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball, kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there across from me, in the Hyatt Regency in Baltimore, Maryland, is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I am exhausted, as I'm sure you are as well. We've had, if you've noticed, we haven't put out an episode since Monday. We said that the next episode was definitely going to be in person, and we've been doing quite a bit. Chris, you want to dive into what we've been doing over the past week?
Yeah, and when you say exhausted, it's like a good exhausted.
It is a very, it's like we've been very productive exhausted.
Yeah, so Daniel and I are at Society for American Baseball Research's 50th convention, 50th National Convention. It's in Baltimore, Maryland. It's been, the days have been extremely long.
Unless you sleep in, of course.
Unless your phone dies while you are sleeping and and your alarms don't go off. But yeah, the presentations, there's just a variety of presentations. There's always like 2 or 3 going on at the same time. They go from 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m. and a lot of fun stuff you can learn. And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot in this past 3 days.
Yeah, this has been a really cool opportunity that Chris and I have both been gifted to go to SABR 50. It's been like we've met some pretty cool people here, some of which might possibly be future ARR alums.
Yeah.
In the making. That was very exciting for the for those people, which hopefully you'll be seeing some of soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of information out. We actually met Mark Simon in person. That's probably the most important thing that came out of this week.
Yeah, Mark Simon's here.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why we didn't think of that, but he's here.
We did not plan to see each other. We did not know he was coming. He did not know we were coming. We were just at a little luncheon on Thursday, and we were like, "Is that Mark Simon?
Yeah.
Is that the defensive correspondent for ARR right there?"
Yeah.
So we went over and said hi. That was very cool. We've seen him a couple times throughout the week. I saw him earlier this morning when I was getting breakfast.
Yeah, he's been interacting with us the whole time, which is fun. He was actually at the Baseball Records Committee meeting with me, and he was like,
"Oh, nice."
He was like the row in front of me, just. He's like, "Oh, this presenter is great. I've seen him do like 7 or 8," and I'm like, "Of course." So perfect.
We saw him. He was like, "This is the first for you guys," because we have like little ribbons on our lanyards that say "first time attendee," and every first time attendee gets that. And he's like, "This is like my 7th or 8th. I don't know."
Yeah,
which makes sense. It's. I don't know why I wouldn't have expected to see Mark Simon here. Like this is his type of place, and it's been very cool because. Obviously, we love him. We've talked to him a couple times, and getting to see him in person has been a very cool experience.
Absolutely, and he made he referred us to somebody, which is good.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is really good. We could get into that maybe later. Who knows? Also, humble brag for us is along with first time attendee. What is it called? Ribbon.
Yes.
We have a Yozoloff scholarship ribbon, which means we got in for free because we applied as students. We presented for a SABR regional chapter. It went pretty well, and we
went very well.
Yeah, we have this podcast also, which is good for the resume. So yeah, we were able to be one of 10 Yozoloff scholars.
There are probably, by the way, some SABR people that are listening because we shout out the podcast to a couple people, some of them also being Yozoloff scholars. So if we met you at SABR and you're here for the first time, welcome. It was really great to meet you, whoever you are. And, I hope our paths will cross again another time one day.
Absolutely. And also, like, it is good to see how many smart baseball people our age are out there. I mean, like, the other scholars are mostly, like, we're journalism people. We're not data analytics people. There's a lot of data analytics people. Some of the scholars are from, like, Duke, Clemson,
BU.
BU. And he actually presented here.
Michigan State.
Yeah,
there's some fantastic
There's
people.
one guy who's not a scholar, but I know, like, just graduated, was a guy, who did data analytics at University of Tennessee pretty sure for the baseball team. Pretty wild stuff. And, I mean, there's some presenters here that are, like, our age that you could see working in front offices.
Yeah, no, we definitely met a lot of future GMs and scouting directors and assistant, GMs. We met a lot of smart people this week, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt very humbled at a lot of points because, like, okay, I don't want to sound too arrogant here, but everywhere Chris and I have gone up until this point, we've been told that we are, like, the smartest baseball people in the room. Yeah, and I don't mean to sound cocky, but that's just how we've always known life.
That's what. Professors are like that. I mean,
peers of ours,
yeah,
have said that. But I mean, all this week I was like, wow, I'm not even close, which is cool. Like, it's cool because we get to we got to pick some people's brains this week.
Yeah.
And we got to make some good connections, and it was just a really good experience. And unfortunately, we are both flying back home tomorrow. The last day of the convention was tonight.
Yeah, it was, and yeah, speaking of the us not being the smartest baseball people in the room, like, we both did trivia. We did individual trivia and
team trivia, which was just us.
We're getting knocked out of the water by just
everyone.
Not even like scholars or presenters, just regular attendees that are coming here and know so much about baseball.
Yeah, like, we won't know, but we very well may have gotten dead last in team trivia.
We may have.
Which, to be fair, it was only us two on a team, and there were several teams, like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
We have a combined age that's probably less than the average age of the attendees in general.
Yeah.
And you know what? Those are people that are just baseball lifers, which was very cool. I think just the amount of love for baseball that was in this convention was just. Anytime you walked by someone and you can overhear a conversation, it was about baseball every single time. Several people just wearing, like, random jerseys, like baseball, very specific shirts.
Yeah, I've seen a couple, like, Washington Senators hats.
Yep. I saw a Homestead Grays jersey today.
Yep. Yeah, dead ball era jerseys I've seen plenty of.
I went to a presentation today about the Seattle Pilots.
Yeah. So, like, one presentation you can learn about, like, the 1918 American League pennant race, and then the next you're learning about, like, pitch tracking and yeah.
I know that I just said I don't want to sound cocky, but I'm just gonna say something right now that's gonna sound cocky. But being at this convention this week, I think I felt like how other people feel talking to us.
Yep. Yeah, I get that. I get that for sure.
Yeah, because the amount of how do you know that, like, that went through my head this week.
Yeah.
I've been told that before.
Like, people talk about, like, when I was at like a Black Sox scandal meeting, and people are talking about the 1919 World Series like it happened last year.
Yeah.
It's the level of knowledge is absolutely insane and inspiring in a way.
I don't know how much. I mean, it's Society for American Baseball Research, so obviously people will do all their research over time. I don't know how far in advance they do these researches because Boog Powell from the Baltimore Orioles, legendary player, a 134 career OPS plus, did a Q&A today, and someone went up to the podium and went, "Tell me about that inside the park home run you had in 1969." And I don't know how far in advance that person knew of that inside the park home run. But I would like to think they did not research it 5 minutes before he came in.
Yeah, no.
I know they didn't. There's no way.
Definitely not.
There was also one guy that said, like, you played left field for, like, 14 games in 66. Like, do you have any memories playing left field? Because he was a first baseman. stuff like that was just like you just gotta sit back and laugh.
Yeah, it's true lifers.
It's
coming to this thing, and especially from an Orioles perspective because we are in Baltimore.
Yes.
And yeah, there's some hardcore O's fans in the building, which is good to see. They're very happy about their turnaround.
Baltimore as a whole is up. Like,
we were at Cam. Yeah, well, you've been at Camden the last 3 days. I was at Camden yesterday, and I mean, we witnessed a game in which the Orioles won. They scored 15 runs. They hit 5 home runs, so we heard Camden roaring a lot.
Well, there was over 30,000 people there.
Yeah.
33. I think there was 34,000 today.
Like, they're the only places that weren't packed to the gills were, like, the upper, like, third left field deck.
I think they just don't sell tickets in, like, the top left field deck. Because nobody sat there any of the days I was there.
Yeah.
They also don't have security up there, so I take it they just don't sell tickets there.
Yeah.
But still, seeing Baltimore in person, incredible. The most impressive part about the crowd at the Orioles games was, it was an Orioles-Red Sox game, and Red Sox fans travel well. Mm-hmm. And every time the Red Sox scored, there would be a "Let's Go Red Sox" chant that started up, and Oriole fans would just completely silence it with boos every single time, and they were louder.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a home game for them, but they were louder, and like I couldn't have pictured that happening in any other year since like 2016.
Yeah, they pounced all over it. And
which is cool. Like Baltimore is a baseball town, and they're back.
Yeah, for sure. And
also, I met my favorite baseball fan of all time. So we were sitting like behind home plate near the press box. And there's this guy who sits in the last row right below the press box, who, from what I've gathered, is at every single Orioles home game, sits in the same seat, probably has season tickets. He keeps score of the game, like he does the scorebook and stuff. And I've always had a lot of respect for people that do the book just for fun.
Yeah.
Because like I've done it before, and it's really not that easy, and it can just be very grueling and distracting. But like the people that will go to major league games and do it, like. I love that. Like, I live for that. But this guy does it, but then every single time there's a defensive change, whether it's a pitching change or, like, lineup changes where, defense, like, people shift on defense, this guy will stand up and yell it to the whole crowd. Anyone within earshot will get, like, "Ladies and gentlemen, now pitching for the Orioles, number 74, Felix Bautista."
Yeah.
And then he'll continue with "now playing second base." It was awesome. It was so cool.
One of your best comments of the night was like, "Imagine this guy at the All-Star game."
Yeah, when like if the fourth inning comes, they change around the whole defense.
Yeah, it's also a little alarming the first time you hear it. When you hear "ladies and gentlemen" at top volume, it's like, what is about to happen right now? But no, it's just.
I think every team needs a guy like that.
Yeah, he's like Camden Yards' Bruce or Michael Buffer.
Yeah.
He just needs a microphone that drops down from the press box.
It's so great. The funny thing is, like, there will be the normal PA announcement that goes out to the whole stadium, like, during the pitching change when, like, the music's still playing in the background. He will wait until it's silent. Like, if there's a little, like, I saw him today, he stood up when Garrett Whitlock came in to pitch, and the music was kind of still going. And you could tell he was like, "Oh, I gotta wait." And the second the music stopped, he started it. And it was just so great.
Yeah. I mean, he seems to be a master of his craft, no doubt.
That dude's a baseball lifer, like, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of them. I think they announced it at the SABR convention, but there's 175 new attendees, which makes me imagine what the total number of attendees are, and probably has to be in the 400s, 500s maybe?
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, there's a good amount of people, and it's funny, like, you'll see a face and you think that's just a random fan, and then it's like they're presenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that is, but like, since there's so many presenters, you have a lot of downtime and you can go to so many presentations before you present your own thing.
Yeah.
There's some fascinating stuff here at SABR 50.
It was really dope.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, as we go into the world of baseball as it is today, some news. As we're talking, we're actually watching Braves Astros, and the Braves are down one with Marcell Ozuna apparently got a DUI, was arrested for a DUI. Obviously, not a great track record the past couple years. He had a domestic abuse charge. There's video evidence last year, which was not good. So
he ended up coming back, though?
He ended up coming back. I mean, he was out for
the rest of the 2021 season, basically.
Yeah, for the rest of the 2021 season, and then he's back this year, and he gets a DUI.
Yeah, this is just an awful look for Ozuna, for the Braves organization. It's weird because you can't blame the Braves for signing a guy that happened to get arrested twice.
Yeah.
That usually doesn't happen with Major League Baseball players. And, it's weird because I don't know Ozuna personally, so I can't talk of any possible warning signs or if he was just always a bad guy that just was waiting to get caught. But, the DUI is obviously bad. I don't know if you saw the video that went out, but, there was, body cam footage of the police officer. As he walked up, he was like, "I'm Ozuna from the Braves." Which, given his recent play, probably not the best, way to identify yourself. Yeah, that guy hitting 150.
Yeah, we're gonna have to really put him in court for a while here.
Yeah, he was going it was a 40. I don't know how fast he was going, but I know it was a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit zone. So I can't imagine he was taking it easy there. And obviously, if he was, if he was intoxicated, that's a huge issue. I really do wonder that contract was 4 years, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
4 years, $80 million.
It's halfway done after this year. I don't think the Braves can void it at this point.
Yeah, no.
Because I remember they couldn't last year. So I don't know why they would be able to this year.
Yeah, exactly. And it really, with hindsight being 2020 here, it really provides a big blow for Braves fans knowing that they signed this guy for $20 million a year. They let Freeman go. If Ozuna wasn't in that lineup, they probably would have pursued Freeman a lot more. We know that there was a weird thing with the agent
there might have been.
There's reports.
There might have been. Yeah, I don't want to say that definitely happened.
Yeah, there's reports of that. There's a story going on with that. But knowing that, they paid $80 million to this guy, $20 million a year, when they, may have, the next year Freddie Freeman was a free agent, and they didn't get him. I know they did end up getting Matt Olson, but they didn't get Freddie Freeman. So, yeah, probably a blow for Braves fans in general.
No doubt. It does suck to think that they may have chosen Ozuna over Freeman.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, the conversations we were having back then, it felt like they could only choose one.
Yeah.
And, I'd say in any situation where you have Ozuna, and I don't want to say, when I say Ozuna, I don't want you to think of the legal action. I just think of the player for now.
Yeah.
Ozuna versus Freeman, who's been there for, 11 years at the time, has shown no signs of slowing down, and is older, which would mean less total dollars. You should probably pick Freeman there. I know that there was a year of separation, so it's not like they did that at the same time. And obviously, this is hindsight, of course, but they didn't need Ozuna for them to win the World Series. They did it without him. They did it without him. They did it without Acuna. Obviously, those are two wildly different circumstances that are not comparable at all whatsoever. But, one of those two guys was clearly more important to the franchise.
Yeah.
Obvious stuff aside.
Yeah.
Because they won the World Series with one of them, and the other one was out basically the whole year.
Yeah. Very much so. And I mean, maybe there was there very well, or definitely how I viewed it was at the time was like, oh, they chose Ozuna over Freeman a little bit, like maybe not fully a binary thing there, but I mean, I guess to Atlanta's defense, they did go out and get Olsen and sign him. And I know it wasn't worth more per year, but signed him to more total dollars than Freeman, and there's a situation with Freeman rejecting something that maybe he thought was the offer but wasn't the offer. Again, all alleged. But yeah, I mean, all in all, you have a guy taking out, or it wasn't 4 years, $80 million. It was 4 years, $65. I'm looking now at the
Okay, I guess
Braves
that's not
contract.
as bad, but
It's
also
not-
that definitely doesn't make it look good for the Freeman stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I mean, yeah, they owe him $18 million in 2023 and $18 million in 2024. And yeah, I mean, the Braves will be fine.
Yeah,
No doubt about it. I mean, they have.
they're probably better without him now. Like he was a liability in that lineup over the stretch.
I mean, he had Baseball Reference where he had negative 1.3 WAR.
Yeah, they just got to win better.
Yeah.
It's like when you talk about trade deadline additions. It's like the Braves. They got Marcell Iglesias, they got Robbie Grossman, and they got rid of Marcell Ozuna. Which not that they got rid of him. Of course, it's not like that. But he's not going to be a part of that team for the rest of the year, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I almost feel like it might just be worth a release at this point.
Yeah.
You don't have to swallow too many dollars. Especially now that a lot of these big deals that you're signing have been very backloaded. You can probably afford to release a big deal right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, with Ozuna, like, if it was a DUI on its own, I don't think that really prompts a release. So sometimes guys get into that, but I mean, he's just had
It's been twice.
along with a way worse thing last year. Like, now he's doing this. It clearly shows that, like, he's still not being responsible, I guess is the way to put it.
Nothing good has happened with Marcell Ozuna ever since that extension. Like, I don't even remember how he played in 2021. But
he was slightly alarming, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, there you go. I mean, I definitely know he wasn't, like, outstanding by any means. And obviously the Braves, they clearly didn't need him. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, during this contract...
then obviously there were...
During this contract, he has a 653 OPS, 76 OPS plus.
Yeah, that's not good.
Not great.
No, not good at all. Yeah, that's just... It's weird because the Braves have had so many great contracts lately, but this one really, really bad one is one of the worst in baseball right now.
Yeah, very true.
From a PR standpoint, from a production standpoint, it just does not look good on all fronts.
Exactly. And one of the positive contracts that could come out was just signed, as we get into our next topic with Michael Harris II, getting an 8-year, $72 million
with club options.
With club options.
That's the most insane part of this.
That's very true, yeah. Because like,
the Braves will get to decide if they want to continue with that contract or not.
Yeah, because...
Which, in turn, will be 10 years, $102 million.
Right.
With options all completed.
How many club options? Is it 2?
I think it's 2.
So if it's 2, like, if they pick up those club options, they've bought out 4 years of free agency from Michael Harris II.
For a total of $102 million.
Yeah.
Which is... That's wild. Because, like, I mean, let's say, I don't know how much... We obviously will never know how much he would have gotten in arbitration. Let's say, I don't know, maybe he gets, like, $4 million at ARB 1. Let's just say it goes, like, in a parallel order. 4 year, then 8... Or 4 mil, then 8 mil, then 12 mil. That's $24 million.
Yeah.
Plus free agency, which who knows how much he would have gotten there, but this is such a save of money for the Braves, like it always has been. I also find it amazing that the Braves are able to detect which players, like which top prospects they have are worth keeping and which aren't. Like think about Christian Pache, who was a top like 20 prospect in the league, at his height as a prospect, who is now on the Oakland A's. Obviously, it took a lot. Obviously, they got a lot in giving him away, and they also gave up a lot more in that deal than just him. But I mean, if this Braves lineup had Christian Pache over Michael Harris II, that's a worse team right now.
Yes, very true.
And not only that, but look at Drew Waters, who just got traded to the Kansas City Royals.
Right.
He was a top prospect.
Yeah.
Braves are more than fine without him, and they got Michael Harris II, who they could have easily done the same thing with, who they've now locked up for possibly a decade.
Yeah. Michael Harris, also, if you're unfamiliar, I mean, he's a rookie. He's a center fielder, lefty hitter. He's hitting .288 with an .826 OPS and a .125 OPS plus. 15 stolen bases, hasn't been caught stealing yet. And,
defense, though.
And defense is pretty quality.
It's above quality.
He is 91st percentile in outs above average, which is... he has 5 outs above average, and I don't think that even includes his arm. Doesn't he rocket the ball pretty well?
Oh,
too?
yeah. He does.
He's got, like... I was wondering if I had the wrong...
He's, like, arguably a 5-tool player at this point.
Yeah. He's pretty wild, and I mean, like... definitely showing great ability in Atlanta, and I mean he's probably his teammate Spencer Strider's biggest competition for Rookie of the Year, and Braves just got him for $72 million.
Which the fact that him getting first or second in Rookie of the Year, that just doesn't matter now.
Yep.
Like it'll be good for him just for the accolade, but the whole incentive of getting a full year of service time just does not exist.
Oh yeah.
But even with Spencer Strider, like I'm pretty sure he was on the opening day roster anyway. He definitely was, so it doesn't matter for him either because he's getting that full year of service time regardless.
Yeah. Because in the new
the only person it really matters with, that's like possibly going to finish top 2 in either league is probably Adley Rutschman.
Yeah, because Julio Rodriguez he started opening day, and if Jeremy Pena makes a comeback, he still started on opening day. And that is because that's relevant because the new CBA has an incentive for players to get first or second in Rookie of the Year by giving them or by taking away a year of control if they didn't start the year with the team. Dansby Swanson.
Let's
pop up.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean that's a valuable asset. It, you with Harris and Acuna are going to be there for
Harris and Acuna. Oh, in outfield, yeah.
Are going to be there for 5 years at least.
Plus Ozzie Albies, plus Austin Riley, plus Matt Olson, plus Spencer Strider, who is just starting his service time clock now, plus Vaughn Grissom, who's been coming up in the last couple of weeks and has looked good.
Yeah.
It's so wild how far the Braves have come since we talked about if their championship window was over last year, because now their championship window might be open for the rest of the decade.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is such an incredible turnaround. Because it's wild, like I've mentioned before, their farm system is one of the worst in baseball, but every one of the guys they have works in the majors.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have busts. Everyone comes up and just produces.
Yeah. They're like the heck is that?
It's a person.
It's a person. They're like the Philadelphia Phillies the Los Angeles Angels of farm systems.
Yeah.
Lots of got some star power, but the rest is not very deep.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the guys, it's so wild how that works. But hey, credit to Atlanta. They're doing a good job over there of keeping the core together and also just developing a lot of good young talent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Harris has been like a little overlooked because he is kind of a do it every way type guy. I'm curious. Yeah, he has 3.0 baseball reference wins above replacement, and his arm is very much a factor in his defense. So I feel like those.
While you're searching that, I'm very curious to see if the Braves are setting a precedent for the rest of the league with what they're doing with guys like Michael Harris II right now, because not only did they sign him to an extension after, before his rookie season was even over, but they called him up after 43 games in Double-A.
Yeah.
Which is, I really do wonder, if teams want to win, is that going to become the norm? Because I think if that becomes the norm with teams who want to win, we're going to start seeing a really clear difference in teams that want to win versus teams that don't really care.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing about him, being in Double-A, I think that was kind of a judgment call by Atlanta, and I think we talked a little bit even just this weekend about how the Angels call it from Double-A a bunch.
Yes.
And sometimes that, a lot of the time it hasn't really worked out for them. Mm-hmm. But these extensions are building a platform for success for the team for a decade, which is insane. And not a lot of teams are doing that.
And maybe it's just the Braves being Braves thing. We all agree that they're getting these guys for team-friendly deals, to put it modestly. These guys are getting absolutely robbed in potential paydays. I think Austin Riley is really the only one that you could consider having gotten his worth in his contract. Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna Jr., Michael Harris, Ozzy Albies, you could very well say that all of them are underpaid on their current deals. But you look at what they've been doing, and maybe teams have been doing this, and the players are just saying no to them like you would expect them to.
Yeah. I imagine that is the case. Actually, funnily enough, I think Jared Kelenic did that. Didn't he reject?
Oh, that's tough.
An early, a contract before he got into the majors.
Some people bet on themselves.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's a lot of extension talk with guys like Michael Harris II that are that young and early into their careers that don't get talked about because A, a lot of negotiations just don't go public, and B, because guys reject stuff. I know that the Red Sox offered Mookie Betts 5 years and $100 million after 2016, which, granted, he had just finished second in the MVP voting and was establishing himself as a top player in the game. So I'm not surprised he rejected that one, especially when you see what he got with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But I'm sure this happens a lot. I was at the Orioles game with someone today, one of the fellow scholars of ours, and we were talking about what are they going to do with Adley? Are they going to start negotiations right now?
Yeah.
Why not? Why shouldn't they at this point? Especially if his service time's already going to be further than they expected.
Yeah.
You might as well do it now. Get that out of the way, because Baltimore loves Adley Rutschman already. They've loved him since he was drafted. He's been the symbol of hope for that franchise since the moment the Orioles really got the number one pick in the draft that year. And, he's gone up and already been producing. I'm pretty sure he's already the team leader in wins above replacement on both websites.
Yeah.
When he came up in June.
Yeah, right.
And also struggled until June 15th. That was really when he started going off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Teams are gonna, same with the Mariners and Julio.
Yeah.
They might want to consider getting on that soon.
Right.
The Yankees with Anthony Volpe when he comes up, especially if they let Judge walk. If Anthony Volpe comes up and delivers early, guys like Rodriguez and Rutschman are, you're gonna want Yankee fans are gonna want to see that extension soon, because especially if Judge leaves, they don't want to have to go through that whole process again.
Right, exactly. I'm looking for Michael Harris's contract breakdown on here.
Yeah. I think somebody definitely tweeted it out.
But so if it's 8 years plus 2 club options, then they have control of him through 2032, right? Mm-hmm. Which he will be. Michael Harris will be 32 at that point. So also what is happening with these Braves deals is they're buying out like the early 30s where like, I think a lot of the times free agents are 28, 29 and teams are kind of wondering like, is the production in his early 30s going to be worth the downfall in his later 30s when this contract is going to end?
Yep.
And the Braves are putting them in a position where they don't have to worry about that. They're going to have they're going to have the option to keep Michael Harris until 2032 when he's indeed 32 years old. And they're, once he's done, there's not going to be really an option for him to get a long-term contract unless he's a crazy superstar at that point. So I think that's also a good thing that the Braves do is they're signing these guys into their early 30s, and then they don't have to worry about trying to get him on an 8-year deal that might not work out in the future, which is that's one of the better things that the Braves are doing, not only just getting them at a cheap price.
Yes.
Braves signed
Michael Harris
the
They've locked
second.
him up.
He's 22.
He's the youngest player in the league, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and there's a guy who's 42 who's tearing it up right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
His name's Albert Pujols. We think he's officially 42.
Was Michael Harris alive when Pujols debuted?
There might have been a
April of 2001.
April of 2001.
Right? That was when Pujols debuted?
Yeah, that's when he debuted. I have to look at Michael. I mean, he was alive for sure, but I mean, not very old. Michael Harris. Michael Harris is 21.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's definitely not 22.
Yeah, so he's going to be signed through his age 31 season.
If with the club options, of course.
Signed through 29, then club options take over, and he'll be 30.
Unless something disastrous happens.
Yeah.
I can't see why the Braves would not pick up that club option.
Right.
Because that's cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Harris was about a month old when Albert Pujols debuted.
Wow.
But Albert Pujols, in his last 8 games, as we record, we're recording Saturday night, by the way, so all these stats are as of Saturday night. Disclaimer on the front of all our stats. Albert Pujols has 6 home runs in his last 8 games. In general, he's been tearing it up against lefties the whole year. He has 11 home runs on the year, or 13 home runs on the year. He's at 692, 8 away from 700. What have you thought about Albert Pujols tearing it up?
It's pretty cool. I mean, if he can end his career by going on a run and actually getting to 700, he's at 692 right now. By the way, he had a 2 home run game and counting against the Diamondbacks tonight. He homered, I believe, last night or at least a couple nights ago to get to 690. The chase for 700 is alive and well, and I don't think either of us thought it could have been this year, which is just very cool. Cardinals are up 7-4 in the 6th. Pujols in general, his numbers against lefties this year are one of the best in the majors. I'll take a look real quick, but this is just really good for baseball if he can actually get there, because he's currently at 13 home runs this season. I don't think we could have predicted it.
Yeah, and it's a good thing where fans that may have maybe lost touch with the game over the past couple of years, they have something to root for with Albert Pujols. Everybody kind of roots for Albert Pujols except for maybe Cubs fans.
Yeah.
But Albert Pujols, you do love to see it from any type of perspective. I mean, he's definitely a guy I'm gonna be pushing for his unanimity in the Hall of Fame when he gets there, or when he gets the election, it would be cool to. Definitely the chase to be 4th in the home run race, very very much alive and well. He's
he only needs 4 more to tie A-Rod and 5 more to beat him.
Yeah, which is that's fun. Most people like Albert Pujols more than they like Alex Rodriguez, so that's something to root for. And then, yeah, of course, the chase for 700 and being only the fourth member to do that, there's a lot of fun things there to root for sure.
Yeah.
And while the Cardinals are very much alive and well in a playoff race, they're leading the division, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, like he could go out with a bang this year. So this is entering tonight, and these stats have definitely changed for the better since, because I know his first home run of the night was off Madison Bumgarner. His second home run, he hit 2 home runs off Bumgarner tonight. So he, that's obviously a lefty, and that's not a Pujols homer. Anyway, going into tonight, Albert Pujols has had 94 plate appearances against lefties. He's slashing .358, .404, .691 for a 1096 OPS.
Yeah,
that's good. In case you don't know, but I think you do.
In case you didn't know. Yeah.
And that's gonna get better tomorrow. He has a 196 weighted runs created plus versus lefties. That ranks 4th among the 169 hitters with at least 90 plate appearances against lefties. The only person better in the NL is Paul Goldschmidt, his teammate. Oh, and Austin Riley. He's probably going to move up to 3rd tonight because Altuve is 8 points ahead. I think he's going up by at least 8 points. I don't think he's catching Riley or Goldschmidt tonight. Goldschmidt's at 282.
Yeah,
that is nuts.
Runs created plus.
Oh my goodness. He has a 1398 OPS against lefties.
Yeah.
That is so ridiculous.
Yeah, I was just looking at that too, yeah. Pujols, yeah, and he's 3rd in entering Saturday, 3rd in OPS out of the 169 batters with 90-plus plate appearances against lefties. 1096 OPS, as you mentioned. And yeah, that's going up pretty far. That's going to be like probably mid-1100s by the time the stats come out.
Yes.
On Sunday. Yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun. Milestones, love it.
Yeah.
Just a nice round number to it as well. Like it's
the last time someone hit 700 had to have been Bonds, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And obviously people have mixed opinions on Barry Bonds, and that's whatever. But the last time someone hit 700, and I think everyone was happy about it, was probably Ruth, because I know there are some people that were definitely not happy with Aaron, but I think most of the baseball world was. I think more people were happy with Aaron than they were with Bonds. Yeah. And that was a whole different issue, but most real baseball fans that actually care and aren't awful people were happy with Aaron. And that was in the 1970s, early 1970s.
Also, when Ruth hit 700, it probably wasn't even that big of a thing, because it's like he was in another world. Like 600 was crazy, 500 was like 300 was crazy to do at that time.
Yeah, I was saying they were probably like numb to the accolades at that point.
It was like Ricky Henderson's 1400th stolen base.
Yeah, it was like, oh yeah, of course. So this might be the most unifying 700th home run for the history of baseball.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like, Cubs fans will probably root against him because, he's tortured them throughout the years and whatever.
Cubs-Cardinals, classic rivalry.
Yeah. But, like, I think everyone will appreciate it, except for, like, maybe Angels fans.
Yeah.
that might be the one group of people that's like, I do not want to see it. Like, I don't want to be reminded.
Yeah.
That might be, honestly, if Albert Pujols doesn't get unanimous Hall of Fame vote, my bet would be it's some Angels writer.
Yeah, probably the case, unfortunately. But yeah, I agree. It would be very unifying. I mean, if you just go on social media, you see the reaction, and everybody's pumped.
Like, that's a special kind of thing. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's all special, but we've seen plenty of 3,000th hits in the last decade. Jeter, A-Rod, Ichiro, Beltre, Pujols, Cabrera. Like, it's, obviously it's a very cool moment when it happens, but it has happened quite a bit. I mean, most people probably don't even remember when Mickey got his this year.
Yeah.
Not most people. Most people do, but remember that time Miguel Cabrera got his 3,000th hit this year? If you're listening to this, do you remember what the hit was?
Yeah.
You might not. I can tell you, it was a bloop single to right.
Yeah, it was a bloop single to right. It was a day game.
Yeah, against the Rockies in April.
Yeah, it was very early in the season. forgettable. Yeah. But
forgettable forgettable circumstances for
forgettable
a 3,000 hit.
Yeah, not a forgettable player.
Yeah, no, not a forgettable player, not a forgettable play in general, but had the circumstances to be forgettable.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So I mean, Pujols is definitely a nominee for what we have in store, but we're gonna be doing players to highlight, good and bad reasons. Starting with the good, for our Saturday. Well, actually, I guess technically
Sunday.
It's dropping on Sunday. So Sunday, August 21st, 2022 edition of.
How about that?
Who do you have for us today?
So my how about that is knocking a team off the list.
I love that.
We're only one team away from finishing it now, and I'm talking about Vinny Pasquantino of the Kansas City Royals. He recently won Player of the Week, and he's been doing it for 2 weeks now. Since August 8th, he is slashing .421, .500, .842 for a 1342 OPS with a 276 weighted runs created plus, the second best among the 191 qualifiers in the majors. Among those same qualifiers, his average ranks third, OBP ranks second, slugging ranks third, OPS ranks third, and strikeout rate is sixth lowest. He's only struck out 6.8% of the time.
Yeah.
He also went 1 for 4 with a single today.
Yep.
Worth noting.
Yep.
But this doesn't count that. Also, his walk to strikeout ratio is 2, and it ranks 5th highest. Before this span, 32.1% of his batted balls had a launch angle below 0 degrees. And in the span, it is down to just 20%, so that's gone down by 12%. Over this span, he's hitting the ball in the air more, which has been good for him. During the span, his hard hit rate of 57.1% ranks tied for 13th highest among the 142 hitters with at least 25 batted balls since August 8th. And he also has a .903 slugging percentage against righties during this time, which ranks second highest among the 353 hitters with 7 plate appearances against righties. And Vinny has 35 in this time. So that's 5 times the qualifier. And he also has slashed 455, 500, 1045, 1545 at home in 24 plate appearances during this time. That's at Kauffman. That's a hard park to hit in.
Yeah.
And that slugging percentage leads the 160 hitters with at least 16 plate appearances at home. And his OPS and 331 weighted runs created plus both rank second. So Vinny Pasquantino has been killing it for the Royals, and I think the good thing to take away from this Royals season, on paper it's kind of just been the status quo set for every year since probably like 2017 or 18, but we're at least starting to see what the future of the Royals looks like with guys like Vinny Pasquantino, also guys like Nick Pratto, Brady Singer, MJ Melendez, of course Bobby Witt Jr. The future core is starting to show itself in Kansas City.
Absolutely. Vinny Pasquantino.
How about that?
Yeah, Vinny Pasquantino, I've had my eyes on him for a little bit, like not even when he was doing well, but when he was getting BABIP.
He was, yeah.
And now he's not getting BABIP, which is pretty fantastic. And yeah, I mean, what should have been happening is now happening. And yeah, I mean, he's also just an anomaly of like such a big power guy and a low strikeout rate.
Yeah,
like,
it's beautiful.
As a 245-pound first baseman.
Foolish baseball compared him to Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fair.
Yeah, and he was also on when Jeff Passan hosted baseball tonight. I didn't listen to the whole podcast, but I saw a highlight, and it was like, I mean, it is an anomaly. We have to acknowledge that for sure, and we'll see how long it keeps going. So yeah, it's funny because I was thinking about, so yeah, before last episode you asked it's like, what teams have we still not done, and I was thinking for sure you were gonna do the guy I'm about to do, which is not the same guy that you're doing, but it is a Royal.
Okay, I know what you're doing then.
And you mentioned him, and he's part of this rebuild process and part of the future that the Royals are hoping to have. I'm talking about Brady Singer, right-handed pitcher. he had a decent rookie campaign. He fell off in his sophomore campaign, which was last year, and started this year off not too hot, but now he's looking like he should be looking like, especially at this point in his career. Brady Singer, in his last 7 starts, he has a 1.83 ERA and a 2.69 FIP in 44 1/3 innings pitched. Out of 85 qualifiers in the span, his ERA ranks 9th and his FIP ranks 14th out of 85. His strikeout rate has gone from 23% before the span to 29% in this span. His whiff rate has gone from 22% to 29%. And his slider in particular, he's gotten much better results off of that. His slugging percentage on his slider, his slugging percentage against his slider has gone from 427 before the span to 228 in the span. And overall, from last year to this year, this includes the whole year, his strikeout minus walk percentage has gone from 13.3% to 19.1%, which is a 5.8% increase. And I think, funnily enough, I think Kevin Gausman said one of the goals of the Giants staff when he was there was like a strikeout minus walk rate of 19%.
Yep.
And that's where Brady Singer's at. And he's also, I should mention, in the 7-start span, he's only given up 2 home runs as well, which is very good to see from Brady Singer. So yeah, Brady Singer.
How about that?
It's a Royal Rumble for how about that. I was.
Now we need the big red scare to finish it off.
I was yes. Oh god. Yeah, I was. Yeah, a lot of my how about that is trying to think of who you're not gonna do.
No, me too.
It's like
it's almost like we're playing like mind games with each other, because it's like I'll go through a certain span, I'll see someone who clearly stands out, I'm like, that one seems too obvious.
Yeah, and also like when I was looking at stuff, I was thinking of Vinny Pasquantino, and it's like that's an obvious Royal to do, and I was like, I think Daniel might get that. Like, I think he might do that. And I was
but then it's like, well, what if Chris thinks it's obvious, so he's also not going with it, and he's just not getting his recognition?
Yeah.
It's like in football, where it's like the defense tries to, or the offense tries to predict what the defense will do and, like, react accordingly. Like, I think they're going to go blitz here. Let's tighten up the coverage.
Yep. Or, like, it's an 0-2 pitch, and it's like, he's definitely going curveball here, and you watch a fastball right down the middle.
Yep.
So, yeah, now we're going from the highs to the lows. We're talking players or subjects that have been underperforming with our Sunday, August 21, 2022 edition of...
Slightly alarming.
Who do you have for us today?
So we never created a term for this, but I am using one of my players to watch as a slightly alarming.
I see, yes.
I'm talking about Brandon Belt, who was one of the top sluggers in the game between 2020 and 21, and he just has not continued that magic this season. But since August 7th, he is slashing 059, 220, 088, 308. Both his average and slugging rank third worst among the 185 qualifiers, and his -1 weighted runs created plus ranks 7th worst. During the span, 16.7% of his batted balls have had an exit velocity below 55 miles an hour.
That's a lot.
Let me say that again. During this span, 16.7% of his batted balls have had an exit velocity below 55 miles an hour. That somehow ranks tied for 5th highest among the 176 or 167 qualifiers with at least 10 batted balls since then. It doesn't help that he literally has 24 batted balls over the span.
That does suck.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yep.
Because Baseball Savant goes 0, 10, 25, 50, 100, 150. Anyway, dating back to July 21st, which is a different span, 44.6% of his batted balls have had a launch angle above 33 degrees, which that might sound like a complete cherry pick, but the sweet spot is considered 8 to 32 degrees, so that is just above the sweet spot. That's 44.6% of his batted balls, and that is the second highest rate among the 207 hitters with at least 50 batted balls. On such batted balls, he is batting and slugging 040, which means he has one hit, and that one hit was a bunt.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the shift was on. He bunted down the third base line. It was popped up, but it was down the line enough.
Yeah.
We've heard a lot of great conversations about the shift this week, Chris.
Yes.
But anyway, his 26.4% launch angle ranks the second highest on that same list of 207 qualifiers since July 21st, and his 14.3% pop-up rate ranks 12th. So Brandon Belt, he's getting the ball in the air too much, and Matt Olson almost just hit a home run to the same spot that I think Dansby hit that one home run in Game 4 in the World Series last year.
We're going to walk off.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Brandon Belt.
Brandon Belt.
Slightly alarming.
He's getting the ball in the air a little too much.
Yep. Yeah, which...
I believe this is the second time I've highlighted him on Slightly Alarming, and the last time I did it, he immediately turned it around, and I literally talked about how he was... It was like the start of when the Illustrator came out, and I was really starting to use it, and it was like one of the first like Illustrator tweets I ever had, where it was like, hey, look at his batted balls since this date, and it was like only one batted ball of above 45 degrees when there was like 10 beforehand. Yeah, so I do have some very fond memories of Brandon Belt hitting the ball too far in the air.
My Slightly Alarming stays in the NL West. It's another starting pitcher, as I did a starting pitcher for How About That. It's a player that the Padres acquired this past offseason.
2021, Slightly Alarming.
Yeah. It's Sean Manaea. In his last 8 starts, he has a 6.87 ERA and a 5.75 FIP in 38.0 innings pitched. In this span, out of 124 pitchers with 30-plus innings, his ERA is 4th worst. His FIP is 5th worst. He's also given up 2.4 home runs per 9 in this span, which is the 3rd worst home runs per 9 out of 124. And then out of 111 pitchers with 100-plus batted balls against, his expected WOBA against in this span is 4th worst. Basically top 4% worst. His hard hit rate has gone from 38% before the span to 48% in the span. His barrel rate has gone from 6.7% before the span to 11.9% in this span. MLB average barrel rate is around 7%, and he's given up barrels at about a 12% rate. His barrel rate in this span is 4th highest out of the 111 pitchers with the 100-plus batted balls against them. And in his last 5 starts particularly, Manaea's slugging against his sinker is 721. Hitters are slugging 721 after they were slugging 369 off of it in his previous 17 starts. So it went from 369 to now 721 in his last 5 starts. Out of the 50 pitchers to throw 100-plus sinkers in this span, Manaea's slugging against his sinker is the highest, and he's thrown 210 sinkers. The minimum was 100, so that's how you know. I mean, extremely large sample size for that group. And along with that, he has a 23.3% barrel rate against his sinker, which is the highest rate among 29 pitchers with 25-plus batted balls on sinkers. So Sean Manaea really been disappointing over basically since the start of July, and not great when they planned to have him be a bigger acquisition this past offseason. So yeah, Sean Manaea.
Slightly alarming.
I just realized we could have also called the How About That's a royal flush.
A royal flush.
That probably would have been a lot better. Mike, going back to a previous topic, Mike Petriello just had this tweet. In the month of August, Chris, guess what % of all pitches Albert Pujols has seen that have come against lefties?
What % of
all pitches seen have come against lefties in the month of August?
In the month of August, is it full on 100%?
No.
Okay, is it like 80%?
74%.
74%.
Yeah, 74.2% of all pitches Albert Pujols has seen have come against lefties, which, if you want to take a look at this month by month,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it went from 48.5% in March/April, 27.9% in May, 38.1% in June, 38.2% in July, and then 74.2% in August. So they are exclusively only throwing him to lefties, which makes sense because he's a far below league average hitter against righties, but he's a top of the line hitter against lefties. He has like a 500 slugging percentage overall this year at age 42.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
so
wild.
sick.
Yeah. Yeah, Albert Pujols. Yeah, he's doing much better than we expected this year. That is for sure. In terms of previews of the week, we don't really have much to preview.
We're gonna skip this one. Skip it this episode.
Skip this one, as we're talking baseball kind of whenever, and today is kind of whenever.
Yeah.
Because we've been busy the past few days. So we hope you enjoyed this one. If you wanna, first of all, thanks to some of the people that helped get us to SABR 50. Marty Dobrow wrote, our professor Marty Dobrow, he wrote both of our letters of recommendation to get this scholarship to get us here without having to pay any money. So big shout out to Marty Dobrow there, and all of our professors for their support.
And if we met you at SABR 50 and you're listening to this, shout out to you.
Yes, shout out to you.
Much appreciated.
You should be appreciated, because if you're here, you definitely belong here. That's for sure.
Yeah. I hope you liked your first episode of ARR.
Yes. So we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to get a better look at general ARR highlights, go to the YouTube channel, look at playlists, go to the Baseball History Series. Also check out some of our interviews with Sarah Langs, Chris Rose, Mark Simon multiple times, and of course Jeff Passan, which was earlier in our...
As well as Tristan Casas, Connor Wong, Jamer Candelario.
Yes,
yeah.
At Polar Park in Worcester.
Yep.
All good stuff. And if you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where we will be talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball once again. See you then.
This conversation is over.